What's up, demons and demonettes? Tis I, Traxy Demon Queen. And today we're talking about the big three. That's right, the starting heroes for Chains of Eternity. But before we get into it, as always, toss a like and subscribe down below. So when I say the big three, I mean the three heroes we're getting right off the bat, or the banner we currently have, which case is Bonnie, Lorsan, and the highly anticipated, and well, we'll get into it, the twins, right? So let's talk about Bonnie. We're going to talk actually about Bonnie and Lorsan a bit together. Bonnie, you know, already have a guide up for her, covering all of her stuff. So let's cover Lorsan's abilities. Lorsan channels his power to summon a storm centered at the frontmost enemy, lasting 5 seconds. Enemies within 2 tiles of the target are affected by the storm, suffering a haste reduction, and they take damage every half second. Alright, when a battle starts, Lorsan links the nearest and furthest enemy heroes, but the Stormbound chain. The chain transfers damage. It can't exceed 500% of his attack, and the chain breaks when the total damage dealt both enemies reaches 900% of his attack. It can't kill the enemies as well. Alright. Lorsan protects the weakest ally with Zephyr's Embrace for 6 seconds. It increases their dodge and gives them some haste, as well as recovering some HP. Hero Focus, that's just going to increase his attack. His EX weapon, a Turbulent Resurgence. Lorsan recovers 200% HP for all allies when Stormbound Chain breaks. He will then cast Stormbound Chain again with a maximum of 3 casts per battle, which kind of makes sense, right? Because he's not going to chain infinitely, but by then most of the heroes will be dead. So his EX weapon is big, similar to Bonnie's in that fashion that he keeps redoing the ability. And then if you do break the chain, it will give them a stun, which is kind of nice. The Zephyr's Embrace is active. The protected ally becomes unaffected, so that means they're immune to control stuff, which is very nice. You can see we automatically got him at P4 here on Pioneer, and I pushed him to plus 15. I don't have his set bonus. I don't usually cover these. I mean, when the battle starts, gains 25% attack and 25 haste. These buffs last until the end of battle, but decay so they decay over time. The decay stops after he gets an assist or defeat. And then just kind of increases the buff that they get. Decay restores caster's HP with 150% of the total damage dealt to this target. That's interesting. So he's, so he adds a bit of control, some heal, some support. So let's talk about, because I want to mention him with Bonnie, because they work actually, really well together in PvP. I do use him in stages, so if we go into stages, I'm going to show you my favorite pushing comp. So as you can see, Almas is going to get a set bonus. We have Almas's set bonus. So we're just going to make sure that we always put our Carol behind Almas. I was just stuck on this stage and trying other things. But right now, this is kind of my go-to comp. So you're going to see Bonnie a lot in push. She's big here. At high deficit, I've been running this team. Conversely, you could drop Tassie and run Lorsan in the support slot. He helps out some. His healing isn't all that impressive, though, compared to like a Haywin or Smokey, or even some of the other bigger healing support heroes, right? So he doesn't really add much in that regards, but what you're going to end up going for on the higher end of things is typically you're going to be running something like this. You can also flex him into the Lightbearer push comp, which is going to look like something like this, right? So we're gonna get our Luca, our Hukin, and our Rowan. So typically, this is going to be your other push team. Now, you're not going to run Bonnie here, but you are going to flex in potentially another healer, with a Lorsan being flexed into this spot. So he's a nice to have for stages, not certainly a must-have, like a Omis or an Aaron or an Odie. Smokey, Friesto, he's just kind of like nice to have. Bonnie's really good for pushing at higher deficits, right? So here we go. Okay. So that's gonna it for that. When I'm talking about PvP though, let's get back to PvP. We got some friendly duel going on, and we're going to kind of double tap here. We're gonna kind of take a look at a Lorsan comp. I didn't really like the Harak version. I liked this comp here, right? So this is going to be more for Supreme Arena than your regular arena teams, and that's because we're going to be taking advantage of the Graveborn talent tile. Now, if you're wondering kind of like, how does all of this work? Well, if we go here and we look at it right, and we look at when the battle starts, seizes the soul of the rearmost non-summoned enemy for the prime carrier, instantly causing them to lose a 48% HP and stealing 9% of the enemy attack. So then what we do is we use a Bonnie to effectively target that hero, and then we use a Lorsan to link that to the frontmost hero. So when we're attacking the frontmost hero, the rearmost hero is taking damage from anything that's getting attacked in the front, and then they're getting hit by anything that they're taking from like AoE, being attacked by Bonnie, or just like any other heroes in general. So it kind of creates this a really nice combination of heroes that we use for attack. Now, I put in Burial because Harak didn't seem to function really well with this team. I thought he would be a nice addition to the team, but he just died really early, so he ended up not adding much to the comp. I swap in a Burial. Burial works really nicely. We're actually going to get to see them against the twins here. So yeah, you'll get to see the twins in action for a little bit. Alrighty. So you see, we almost instantly delete their rear line hero. So that gives us a big advantage. So you can kind of see his attack going off there and controlling. So it's just, he just combos really well, actually, with this Graveborn comp. Graveborn is going to be big, so we need those Graveborn comps for your Supreme Arena, at least on the attack side, because you can't, while you can't control who somebody puts in as their rear hero, for on defense, on attack, they're going to usually have one of their bigger heroes in the rear, and that's simply because they're going to be wanting them to get buffed from like Enlightening or Overcharge spell, or they just put him in the back just out of normal. So they're behind the tanks, frontline type thing. But we have heroes that can directly target those back lines, with Nara, Sylvina, and Bonnie. Bonnie probably being the best one at this point in time. And he just works really nice. This is just a really good team. I like anytime I get to use a Burial. So yeah, so we can go back in and we can go see it against some other comps. I will mention it didn't work as well in a regular arena because it's more based around that Graveborn talent tile. Now here I did avoid using the talent tiles a bit, but we are running the Lorsan Bonnie combo. This time we don't have the Graveborn buff, but let's see it in action. And this is against Lime Stall, which was a very popular team for quite a while in the mid-term. Or the mid-tier, I would say, defense-wise. As you can see, it works. It just works really. It combos really well. He just works really, really well with the Graveborn heroes, which is kind of a surprise, but it's nice. Again, because we're linking those back heroes to the front hero, and we know Bonnie is going to be beating on that back hero. We're gonna spread the aging. It's just not going to be a good time for those of your heroes this season. So like your Dianels are gonna get trash. Now, did we get to test? No, we did test him with a Dianel. The issue that we had with a Dianel is that his buffing of Dianel is kind of random. We barely won this one, but we'll replay it to see it in action. Again, we have a Lily May stall. We're running Dio. Dio is gonna get shredded. Because you're gonna see, like, Dio doesn't really get his buffs here. So that's part of the problem. Right? Then Lorsan, like I said, on his own, he doesn't offer a lot of heals. In the way other supports do. So we only saved it there because of Lily May. Saved it because she's just that good. That's just the issue in running. I have another one. We could show it here. Where I show that Dio can shred. So here we go. We've got a Lorsan with Dio versus the twins. This is going to be more of a showcase of why the twins are bad. And yeah, they are bad, but we'll go more into detail with that. But again, we want to kind of show Lorsan on a Dianel team if that's something you're curious for, right? So we kind of run Bonnie to target the rear, Lorsan. So luckily our Dianel gets hit early on, so he gets the Zephyr buff almost like right away from Lorsan, so he gets his 3 stacks for his 3 buffs, right? Those are the big yellow things, or gold things behind him. That's his Nectar buff. That's what you want to get 3 of. So with that, he gets his 3 buffs, because he gets 1 from Scarlita, 1 from Lorsan, and 1 from a lightning spell. It was a quick fight. We'd have to slow that down, and we'll slow that down later. Right, and I misspelled that, but that's whatever. Alright, so that's a Lorsan. Big Dare, not so much used in a Dream Realm. Bonnie slipped into a couple metas in the Dream Realm at this time. I think if we go here, she's not going to be meta on a Thalassa, but if we go boss by boss, a Lone Gaze, you can see she does a pretty good on a Lone Gaze. She was a better option than Odie, because Odie's typically not good on a Lone Gaze, but Bonnie slipped into the meta here. A Stomper, not so much. Crystal Beetle, yeah, she looks like she may be meta on this boss. Slipped in here, at least for pre-endless. Not so much on Orson. We still need Elsa here for the stun on the boss. Thalassa is a no-go. Lucia is a no-go. She just pumps too much damage. As you can see, we're looking at Sinbad. Crazed Shellbrute is a no-go. And Creeper was a no-go. So Bonnie at least slips into the meta for a few of the fights. So she is pretty much, in my book, at this point, going to be a must-have. At least if you want to be successful on some of the fights in your pre-endless, you want a phenomenal PvP hero, and you want a great stage-pushing hero. So she's great in all facets of the game. So Bonnie at this point is a must-have for me. Yeah. Easily good choice of pushing her to +20. +20 is going to be bigger. Now let's get to the elephant in the room, which is the twins. So first off, we're going to talk about their abilities. Passive, Elijah and Lila. fight separately in battle but share the same HP and energy pool. Their max HP is increased by a 35%. Active, they perform an inspiring duo, granting allies 60 plus 4 haste bonus. For 7 seconds during the dance, allies linked through the stellar bond become unaffected. Their level just increases the buff time. Stellar bond. Stellar bond links Elijah and Lena, firing a straight line. Allied heroes placed between them become linked. Their link grants permanent 25% attack bonus to Elijah and Lila when there are no others linked. However, the bonus decreases. So it increases everybody's attack, but when or increases their attack, but when there's more heroes linked, it decreases it by 5% for each. So you don't want to link every hero in it, but you do want to link up to like maybe 2. Golden Glow with Stellar Link. They restore 30 plus skill power energy along the path simultaneously. Sends a green glow, healing each link ally along the path. For 100 plus 10%, and that's every 12 seconds. Cosmic Protection. Elijah grants Lila and the one each ally a shield that lasts for 4 seconds and makes them unaffected. Lila casts a Stellar Post on the tiles occupied by Elijah and one ally adjacent to the enemy, dealing some damage and inflicting blind. And then that's just levels. They increase their haste and the haste of the ally linked with bond by 3, and then it stacks. So the 3 stacks, they get 9. Alright, this is their Starbound Harmony. If allies, excluding Legion, linked to the Stellar Bond, all but linked to the same faction, special resonance effect is triggered. The resonance grants linked allies an extra 10 vitality and increases their energy gained by 10%. Resonance act the Stellar Bond can permanently enhance their linked allies. Have used their ult when the enhanced allies gain 10% of energy. Cost for each ultimate cast. The enhancement can only occur 1 time per battle. Increase vitality and then the energy gain at the different levels. After Stellar Bond is permanently enhanced, increase energy returned to allies from each ultimate to 15%. Elijah and Layla increase the attack, defense, and magic buff. Alright, so increases, they're equal to 10% of the highest stats among the linked allies, but cannot exceed 25% of the original stats. So that's kind of their abilities. So what does this all translate to? How the heck do we use these things? Well, let's go to stages first. Again, that's just kind of like the easiest place to see it. I didn't really have a lot of success, and you're not going to have a lot of success pushing with them at higher deficits. At lower deficits, they're fine, but you're overpowered. You could probably run a different comp instead. One thing worth noting is that they are not viable as a duo without Rowan at this time. And that's one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing with them. They don't have enough energy generation between the two. So typically what you're having to do is you're having to run Rowan with them to get the energy gain. Then we typically run another hero. Maybe we run like a Tassie. Maybe we run something like this, right? At least for normal stages. For your talent stages, you could stick them in the Light Bearer comp. That's where I've been able to see them. But I was able to run... It was the same one that I showed with Lorsan. You would just swap the twins in for Lorsan in that flex spot. But I could get by with running a Haywin or a Smokey, who I already have significantly invested in on my main account. So it's not really adding much to add them in. So maybe we might run... something like this, right? And the reason why I'm gonna give her the defense bonus because she likes to suicide. That's one of the other issues, is she likes to suicide. So let's see it in action and just kind of like see how they go. They usually die pretty early on. So here they actually live. I think the issue, like, oh, we'll get damage in for sure. But now, see, Tassie and Friesto are dead, and they just get annihilated, right? So we don't have enough damage to overcome that stage, right? So at a high deficit, we're probably running something more like this, right? And then we're using Odie to pick them off. And if, you know, we go to the previous stage I wouldn't run them there as well. We're gonna have the same issue. They're just not good at high deficit pushing. The problem is Lila runs up into melee and typically dies. Now, we're gonna show, again, we're gonna go back to that same fight against Slowby, because Slowby is one of the few people that I know has the twins on defense. And we can see here, Dianel just annihilates the team, right? He just shreds the team. It just destroys them. So we're gonna have to go, we'll do this. We'll cut it down to half speed. We'll go back in and rewatch it, because it's over a fairly quickly, right? We beat it both times, but why can I never find what I'm looking for? Because it's up here. Alright, let's see this in action and see what happens. So you can watch the twins. You got one here. You got one somewhere over here. So Dianel just goes off once, and they get destroyed. He just hits them once, and they are annihilated. You only realistically need to kill one to get rid of both of them, but the thing is, one's always going to pretty much be in the front, right? So in that setup, we were hitting a Bonnie in the back with our Bonnie, but their Bonnie was linked to Elijah, so they were both getting hit, right? So the twins were getting beat up. By the time Dianel goes off, he just annihilates and destroys them. They are susceptible. So that's the thing. Both of them can take damage, and one dies. They both die. So say if you tag one with your Odie will burn down one, since they don't really have that big of a health pool because they are support heroes. It's going to be very easy to execute them with an Odie, because like I said, you only need to whittle down the one, right? They have a shared health pool, but it's not that much. It's going to be very easy to get them into his execute range, Nara's execute range, but she doesn't have like a true execute. Scarlita's the other one. She could crash down and just send them flying, and it doesn't matter what they do. Now, I did have some success with them in a regular arena, so we can look at some of my win records here on attack, right? So we did use them. I did throw them in there with Harak and Abani, but again, you have to run them with Rowan, otherwise they're just not viable. Now, this isn't a very strong team that we went against. As you can see, there's no support hero and no Tassie, right? Tassie would have made things difficult, but you can see we did plenty of other testing with them. No Rowan, no Rowan, no Rowan, no Rowan, no Rowan. You can see no Rowan. Well, we did win here. Again, this wasn't a very strong team that we were going up against. And that was defense. So as you can see, they're not the greatest on attack. Like I said, here's with the Rowan. You have to run Rowan, but here we're going only against P2 with our P4 and P3 teams. So we have the inspiration and intimidation buffs going for us on our side. Now, this is more of a popular defense that I am seeing, although it's very easy to counter with an Aaron Olmis team, because I've gone up against it myself. And just, yep, without the twins. But here you could see them in action right on this map. You just spread them out over the range here. But we didn't need them here. They didn't really do much. They didn't really offer much. I could have run Aaron, Almas instead of the twins. Again, I already have them already built up. They don't really add much. They aren't being used in a dream realm. I did test them on 2 of the bosses, if you want to know. Here, I did test them as a substitute for Coco and or Odie. I couldn't see them replacing Coco. The problem is the Lhasa pumps damage, and you really need 2 support heroes, which are 2 true support heroes. Oh, here we did sub for a Coco, and as you can see, it's just not pumping the damage that the other ones pump, and that's just because their support numbers aren't there. Now, we don't actually get to see what their heals are. That's not there, but the issue that I'm seeing is they only heal along that line, so they don't heal everybody in your squad. And again, they're susceptible to AoE, which I think pretty much almost every Dream Realm boss has some form of AoE. Thalassa has AoE. Who else? I think it was Lucia. We tried them on. I don't remember if she was up yesterday. We did a lot of trial and error. I don't even remember. Mimi. Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember I tried them because we got them the other day. And I did try them out on the last boss. Mimia was a lone gaze. I don't know. It's just not worth mentioning at this time. They just aren't viable in a pre-endless dream realm. Now I say that we've only had 2 bosses so far. But again, if we look at the bosses and the mechanics, Beetle they could have some potential on. Just because I don't think that boss does as much AoE. He does have the knock-up cone, but that's kind of controllable. So they could have potential there. Orson, they could maybe have potential. Lucia, I thought it was Lucia. I tried him on. There's no potential there. With a crazed shell brute, I don't really know if we're gonna see it there. Plague creepers, iffy. They're not even proper food for Harrock. And Harrock's meta on plague creeper right now. So we'll have to wait and see on there. Longi is probably not. Though, it just takes one of them getting shredded. And then we lose both of them, right? Because those ads shred pretty heavy. Stomper, definitely not going to be on Stomper. Too much AoE. All the silence. They really need to be able to ult to be of any use. And since they're a little slower to ult, they're not going to be viable on Stomper. Again, I don't see them being viable, really, in Dream Realm at all. Like I said, just all the AoE that pumps out. Now, when we do get to Endless, we will get increased survivability through levels, through charm sets, all that other stuff. It is possible they could come back around. Now, we still are on Pioneer. We still got a few more days to go. They could stick these things back in the oven. They could, get a little bit more color on them, get a little bit more of a cook on these things, because they are very, very underwhelming for a premium unit. That is a Celestial and Hypogean. They just don't really bring much to the table from what I'm seeing. Most of the stuff I've seen out there is a lower end stuff. So yeah, that's it for this one, and enjoy the new heroes. Bonnie, definitely a must grab. She's still up. She'll be up for a week into the season, so you still have a chance to get her. Lorsan, as of now, he's looking like a really nice hero to have. Along the lines of how tight Tassie is nice to have, where she's really good in stages, she's really good in PvP content. So we really like her. We really like Lorsan. But as of right now, the twins are a pass. There's no big loss, I would say, with them in that regards, because there is no banner, so you don't really have to worry about a time frame and pulling for them. If you're in danger of having too many copies from your guild medallions to pull, you can pull for an existing hero. You're probably safe to do that, or you could just pull for the one obligatory copy if you really don't want to work on like a Paragon level or something for another hero. But you're probably safe at this point in time, holding off for the Hypogean that is going to be coming out in a couple months from, or like a month and a half from now. I believe it's the ice one. We're probably going to see her in the story. She is going to be a mage. Mage is interesting. Ice is interesting. Could be a control type hero, which screams arena, which screams push and control for stages. But we're going to, again, that's just early speculations. So you may be better off just holding for one of those, because we are going to get a third one this season. So you could probably just hold your stellars. Personally, I'm just going to pass on the twins unless they get some kind of huge buff between now and when they release, or they get a complete rework between now and when they release, or we can just hold off until Dream Realm happens, and then we can pull them for Dream Realm purposes. But I can't see very well pulling them past Supreme Plus at this time, especially if you catch my video. That is the controversial, what I call the shrinkflation of P4. But again, that's it for this one. Enjoy the new heroes, enjoy Bonnie, enjoy Lorsan, and I'll do updated videos for Lorsan and the twins should something change between now and when they actually drop. And that's it for this one. Bye!